Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good. I hope everything's good at your end. Guys, smash the like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button. Share the video as always. As you guys always. I want to thank you guys for the support over the years. I know I repeat myself a lot, but I do generally thank you guys a lot. As you guys can see, my channel is growing. And if it wasn't for you guys, you know what, the great thing is that a lot of the reason why my channel's grown, before I used to have a lot of passing by subscribers, where now I think I've kind of built subscribers that actually return, that look forward to my videos. And I see this, a lot of you, the same guys commenting and the same guys liking the videos, etc., which obviously shows that a lot of you are coming back to my video, which is obviously a good for a YouTube content creator, because what that shows is that you guys like my video, hence why you come back. I have a lot of returning viewers, which is pleasing to see when I see the analytics. So I want to thank you guys for that support. I want to thank you guys for continuing to show me love, coming back onto my videos. It means a lot. Guys, last night we had a shocker. Or this morning here in the UK, but we had a shocker. Gary Russell Jr., the reigning featherweight champion that has been a champion for 7 years. The longest reigning champion, I believe, was it the longest reigning featherweight champion for 7 years? Has been beaten by Magsayo. I think that's how you say it. I'm going to say Mark, because I'm going to end up butchering his name. What a performance by Mark. Wow. You know what? Let me speak a little bit about Gary Russell. Gary Russell is was a very talented fighter. You know, very fast hands, very fast. Some people thought, you know, he was much faster than Pacquiao and Khan. They thought that he was the quickest. He had the quickest hands in the sport of boxing. And he was very fast. A very talented fighter. Very talented fighter. Without question, Gary Russell is an exceptional talent. But Gary Russell is an example of a modern day fighter who hardly fights. Am I surprised that he lost to Mark? Not really. Not really. A lot of people were predicting the upset. A lot of people were saying that Gary Russell, we may see an upset on Sunday. A lot of people were saying it. The reason why is because Russell's been so inactive. Where has he been? Has he been training? Has he been in the gym? Has he been putting in? We just don't know. He's been so inactive. And this is what I say about the modern day fighters. It's so frustrating that these guys go missing. Why is it someone as gifted and as good as Gary Russell is not fighting regular? Why? Why? Why is Gary Russell not fighting? What do you expect? These things happen. If you're not going to be fighting, right? There's no way that you're going to, after 3 years, just going to come back, or 2 years going to come back and just look sensational. That's just not how sport works. You become rusty. You can do everything you're doing in the gym. And we don't even know if Gary Russell's been living a life in the gym. Has he been in the gym? We just don't know. And it showed on his performance. He didn't look as fast as he normally does. You know, they say he was carrying an injury. But then if he's carrying an injury, why is he fighting? If you've been a champion for 7 years, suppose, right? You've been a champion for 7 years. Why are you going to give that up going into a fight injured? How does that make sense? Apparently, he said before the fight that he was injured, his shoulder was injured. And listen, he probably was. And that performance, some people saying that Gary Russell got robbed. Come on. Stop it. He lost that fight. And at the end, and listen, after the fight, Gary Russell was saying that, you know, he thought he won. And that's just because Gary Russell has an ego. Gary Russell has been saying a lot of things over the years that about Crawford and about everyone. You know, this is a guy that has been constantly on social media bashing everybody else. Talking about Crawford, talking about Haney, talking about Tank, he's literally been talking about everybody. But he's hardly been fighting. And that's what happens. And that's what happens. He's neglected himself, in my opinion. Like, this is a very, very talented fighter. Unfortunately for me, he's probably past his best just because of how inactive he's been. So inactive. That is not good for any modern day fighter. And I see a lot of it. I see Errol Spence hardly fight. I see Terence Crawford hardly fight. These are very talented fighters. They're wasting away their prime years. They're wasting away their prime years. Honestly. And this is what happens. You fight a hungry young champion, right? Like Mark, who's hungry. And by the way, Devin Haney's comments saying that Gary Russell just lost to a bum. That is disgusting. Like, I like Devin Haney. I think he's a good fighter. But that was out of order. To call Mark Magsayo a bum, I'm sorry. That's out of order. Especially when Mark Magsayo just beat a champion who had reigned for 7 years, right? And Devin Haney won his belt from, like, got his title from an email. He never even fought a champion. Who did Devin Haney fight to win that belt from? Nobody. He didn't fight Lomachenko. Whereas Mark actually beat Gary Russell to win the belt. So I thought Devin Haney's comments were totally bang out of order. You know, I think it's very disrespectful to call a guy a bum who's just gone in there and had the performance of his life. Look, for me, Russell was hurt in that fight a couple of times. I just thought Mark Magsayo outworked him. Russell had his moments as well. Russell did well. But it just didn't look like the old Gary Russell. It just didn't look like, because he's been inactive. And I know I'm getting emotional because Russell is such a talent, but he's been so inactive. This isn't a shock. It's an upset, of course, because we look at Gary Russell as the old Gary Russell, but Gary Russell never fights. He never fights. He never fights. It's so frustrating that when you have someone as talented as Gary Russell, that these guys are just, they're not fighting. They're just not fighting. How are you going to give your best performance if you're not fighting, if you're rusty, if you're going in there against a hungry young lion that wants to be a world champion and you're not fighting? You hardly fight. You fight once in a blue moon. Eventually someone's going to come up and beat you. Inactivity is the worst thing. Look, Amir Khan fought Canelo. He got knocked out against Canelo. He was inactive for 2 years. That was it. That was it. His career was over at world level after that. Because you can't be inactive for that long. Look, I say the same with Keith Thurman. That for me, Keith Thurman, his career at the world level is over. He's just still living. The reason why Keith Thurman isn't in the same category as maybe a Khan or a Brook, for example, who people just view as, because those guys have fought, right, other top fighters and they've been beaten soundly. So they're now in the washed up category. Keith Thurman, the only reason he's not in the washed up category because he put up a good fight against Manny Pacquiao, but he hasn't fought anyone fought a top welterweight since. But are you telling me Keith Thurman, after Danny Garcia being out for the ring for over 2 years, now fought Manny Pacquiao or fought Josecito Lopez, looked terrible against Josecito Lopez, came back against Manny Pacquiao, lost the fight in a very close fight. Manny Pacquiao then went on to lose to Ugas. So that Manny Pacquiao fight was when? 2019? If I'm not mistaken. That Manny Pacquiao-Keith Thurman fight was 2019. We are now in 2022 and Keith Thurman is finally going to fight. So Keith Thurman has been out the ring. So after the Danny Garcia was out the ring for 2 years, then he's been out the ring for 2.5 years. So Keith Thurman is now fighting Barrios in February, being out the ring for 2.5 years. And previously to that, he's been out the ring 2 years. Are you trying to tell me Keith Thurman is going to come back and look razor sharp and beat? It's just not. It's just not possible. It's not like you're going to be, for me, faded. You're not going to be the fighter that you once were. Keith Thurman isn't going to be the same fighter that fought Danny Garcia, the one that fought Sean Porter. It's just impossible. It's impossible for me. And I personally think that Gary Russell is the same. He's been inactive for a long time, you know, and it's not a surprise that he's been beaten. It's not a surprise he's been beaten. Because he's been too inactive. And that showed in his performance. If he was injured, I don't understand why he fought. Obviously, I reckon what I take from that, the injury wasn't that bad where he could continue to fight, which I just don't understand. Or maybe it was frustration. Again, maybe it was the lack of fighting. He thought, there's no way I can pull out this fight. I have to fight because I've not been fighting. So, to be honest with you, I think Gary Russell, I don't know why he's been out the ring for so long. Maybe you guys can, it's very, very disappointing for Gary Russell, because I think Gary Russell was a great fighter, and I think the featherweight division is a great division. It's a great division. You know, there's just champions in that featherweight division, which I would have loved to see Gary Russell fight. But, you know, I even think Gary Russell could have gone up to 130. And made a claim there, but I think his best fighting days are unfortunately behind him. The inactivity is too much, and Mark won that fight. There's no doubt about it. I know people are gonna say that Russell was, no, he wasn't. He lost that fight. He clearly lost that fight. He clearly lost that fight. You know, I know maybe some of Gary Russell's fans might be in denial. He might be in denial, but yeah. And to be honest with you, would a prime, active Gary Russell lose to Mark? No, not in my opinion. But he's not a prime, active Gary Russell. He's an inactive guy. He don't fight. You're not going to go in there and beat these young, hungry champions that want to be champion. You're not going to win, and that's just what Gary Russell... That's just what we've witnessed, you know. But yeah, Gary Russell dethroned by Mark Magsayo. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Were you shocked by it? Leave your thoughts, and guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.